our spiritual wellness center. You guys know me. I'm Mary. I am the teacher and healer here, an angel medium. And this today, we have the lovely Jon Binnie, all the way from Scotland. How are ya?
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much, Mary, for having me on your show. It's an honor to be here.
I'm super excited to have you here. I think that you're the up and coming theme right now. I've heard a lot about you from a lot of my clients. A lot of my clients are like, oh yeah, I've been doing stuff with Jon. And I'm like, who's Jon? I must meet this man. And then I booked you, not just to fill you out, like I actually have healings done on myself. And it
Me
was
too.
amazing. It was amazing. I will say that, Jon, I want you all to pay attention here, okay? If you go into a healing session with Jon and try to hide something from him, he will freaking find it. Just letting you know, you can't hide from Jon.
I have a lot of help. I have a lot of metaphysical help.
No, it's amazing. It's an amazing gift. It's really, really good, clear vision. But we're so excited to have you. For everybody who may not know, this is Jon Binnie of Heart Centered Wellness. You can find him and book with him at jonbinnie.com. He does readings, healings, clearings, a trance channel, past life regression, Akashic healing, soul retrieval, mindfulness meditations, reflexologist. You're a reflexologist.
Yep.
And I think you tie some music stuff into all of that too. Tell us a little about yourself, Jon.
Thank you. Sometimes it feels like a slightly embarrassingly long list now, but the journey kind of makes sense to me. So introducing myself, hi, I'm Jon Binnie. You can see it's on my hoodie. And I live in Scotland. I'm married with, we have 2 kids. One's just left home recently. And my journey after 26 years in software engineering and artificial intelligence, the last 8 years were in a big global corporate that you'll know the name of. I had an awakening. So there I was, accepting an invite to go to a meditation session at a local village hall that a friend was running. It was the first time I meditated in my life. And when I meditated, I saw the stars and the planets being formed and the energy flowing between them. And my little mind was just like blowing. And I said to the meditation teacher, can I do this like every day? I mean, it's free, right? You can just do it, right? You can just meditate. And he said, yeah, you should do that. And so I haven't stopped since November 2017. And I'm pretty sure I haven't skipped a day. And in that time, things changed fast. So it totally changed my life. In 3 weeks of meditating, I remember watching a YouTube video and someone saying, hey, there's like spirit guides and you can talk to them and stuff. It's like, ooh, I wonder if I have them. And so I started asking to see my guides, and then I started asking them questions. And then I started using the answers that started with a word and then a phrase. And then I started writing songs based on what they told me. And since then, I've released 157 albums and just over 2,500 songs.
Wow.
And it got a world record in 2022 for the most albums digitally released. And little did I know that side hustle was the kind of side hustle to the side hustle, which was about 4 years ago now. I started learning on the job. And by this, I mean booking in friends initially and doing sessions like I did for you, Mary. Except when I first started, I knew nothing. I've never trained in Reiki or anything, or I've received some like past life hypnosis and things like that. But I didn't know how to do any of these things. And I just started by sending love energy in and getting people's feedback. And then I learned how to connect to people's guides. And then that long list that you explained of being able to travel through space and time, to be able to help people every dimension of them. Quite quickly, I was doing the darker side of the work. So a lot of negative entity removals, negative energy removals, and retrievals, going to going to hell and back with clients to retrieve parts of their souls. And this was all building up, and I was doing a lot of it, especially during our lockdown years. Was great because we did a lot more things like this. We'd do like Zoom calls with people and connect with people. I realized I wanted to do this full time, or do something in this domain full time. And the mission that I accepted after long discussion with my guides is to help people on their journeys of awakening, and to help really calibrate and balance darkness and light in this planet, because we know we're still like way off, but we're getting there. Good news is, like, there's this paradigm shift happening, and the good news is we and everyone here on the chat, like, we're all part of it, right? We're the ones driving this with our within us, with our hearts within us. May 31st, I had left my corporate job. I'd started my new company, and I also trained as a mindfulness teacher in that time, and a reflexologist, so clinical reflexology. And I've just started studying Swedish massage. So to get me out of this studio, which I do all my music in as well each day, get me out and about. And a big reason for doing reflexology is doing it hands-on. And my customers asked me to do this, like, Jon, you do lots of psychic work. Could you blend reflexology with it? I was like, you want to try it. So I did it, and it's my most popular in-person service. So that's been a lot of fun to do as well, to connect with people and just explore the blending of these modalities. You know, if I can't see a problem in someone's heart chakra through the feet, then I'll be looking, using quantum healing or looking at their past lives. And it's amazing to see these different angles of the same challenge. So yeah, that's me in short.
I love that. And honestly, I feel like I was a little drawn to you after, some clients had told me about you and I looked you up. I feel like so much of our journey overlaps. Like you're my Scottish doppelganger or something, because we do such similar things with the trance channeling and the records and soul retrieval, all those kinds of things. We do a lot of the same modalities, even within quantum healing. But you went and did a bunch of music, and I went and did bardic training, which is music, poetry, stuff like that. So I feel like we're just right on par with all of those. I also just had my oldest child just went off to college as well. So, and I even feel like we've been doing this publicly for about the same length of time. For all of this with me was like 2016, 2017 as well. Mm-hmm. So just right in line with all of that. So it just aligned with all of this. So I'm so excited that you're here with us. And guys, stay to the end, because Jon is going to be guiding us through a meditation of heart unlocking. One of our focuses that we came to for this, or the intention of this, was finding your way home. And I asked Jon, I said, when I ask you that question, what does it mean to you to find your way home? Jon answered and said, it's realizing you have all the answers that you need within you. And then today, before I get on, I'm seeing hearts unlocking, and I was guided to put on some Heart Hurts music. And I'm like, we got to unlock the heart space. Then I get on, and he's wearing green and got the green background. And I didn't even realize that his company is Heart Centered Wellness. So all of that kind of clicked into place. And Jon said, yeah, well, home is where the heart is. So absolutely, the way to unlock all of those answers within yourself is through the heart space.
Absolutely. And yeah, I love that. It's where we all need to go, right? It's how we will help each other and help this whole planet.
And I also feel like what you were saying with the empowerment, or with the negative entity removal and going to hell, and bringing people back to this space and that balance between the duality of dark and light, even that is the empowerment of the balance of the heart. As above, so below, as within, so without. I've been on that journey as well. I'm not going to get into it here in front of everybody, but I'm with you. I see you with all of that. So a lot of that has to be brought back so that people can come back into their balance.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the soul retrieval, or the fragments that I see with clients, is that they're mostly around the heart. And I don't think it's a coincidence, because that's where our souls enter into our human forms, right? So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I see the heart is often the place that needs the most healing and the most reintegration and becoming whole again.
What I found so interesting, aside from during our session when you worked on me, aside from the fact that I couldn't hide anything from you, like, guys, seriously, at least 3 times during that session, he would go through a different chakra and he'd be like, "What is this?" And I'd be like, "Well, I was trying not to tell you, but," and then I have to tell the whole story. So, aside from your amazing vision, I also feel like, at least through our experience, the way you perceive things seems very mechanical. Do you, and I don't even want to ask if it's because of your tech, because what I see when I look into you, it's almost like you're so multifaceted and multidimensional that your tech background was even guided into you becoming this healer that you are because of the way your mind works and the way you perceive.
I thank you. Yeah, it was a really powerful session. It was honor to work with you and work through your chakras and finding out all about the areas that need the most healing. Yeah, I guess there's like these two aspects of me that kind of merge together, and I did still love. In fact, I'm busy building an app for my company. I love the aspects of technology that allow kind of scalability and repetition and frameworks and like foundations. But I think the very thing that I rub up against the most in our modern world, at least in our Western culture, is like being too rigid and being told what to do. I love autonomy and flexibility and creativity with just enough foundation to kind of. So, for example, a lot of the things I do focus around the chakras, and it's because it's just a place to keep coming home to. But sometimes, and you'll know this, Mary, like sometimes the chakra will be a portal, and then I'll be going off through the chakra, through the portal, back to another past life. And you're like, hang on, I thought I was just checking through the solar plexus, and we're actually going back to a past life. But at least it gives a kind of an entry point or a place to focus. And yeah, I do feel that some of my journey as well, a lot of it in my last company was about reducing the fear about technology. And if for example you said, hey John, you're going to have like a mini you, right? They're going to be 15 years old, they're going to look like a younger version of you, and they're going to run around and they're going to create their own life and be very creative. And they said, no, there's going to be like a human version. That's my son, because he does look like me, and his name is part of my full name, Jonathan. But what if there's an AI version, and how would you feel about that? And I'd like, well, I'd want to teach them both, right? I wouldn't be scared and go, an AI one is going to like murder me in my sleep. And it's like, no. They're both as likely to do that depending on how you teach them. And yeah, a lot of the work I did was helping, in my last company, was helping create responsible AI. So AI that's fair, it's consistent for everybody, and starting to influence some of the guidelines that are coming out in the US now about how to use AI, how to measure it, how to see if you're doing a good job, because it all comes from the very heart of the creators themselves. I don't know how many movies we have to watch until we start to get that it's all up to us. And this is why we don't look to our galactic brothers and sisters and say, what happened to you? You got destroyed by your own AI. It's like, that's pretty rare. And often they're seeding it with, energy and thoughts and actions that are a mirror of them and their intentions. So I think that's a really powerful thing, both in my work and then also what I hope is a paradigm shift for us to be more in harmony with our technology, as well as the total freedom and creativity that we have.
So, how you feel AI fits into healing and spirituality is?
I see AI learning from us. And I mean, you and I, like, is watching right now, right? It's training, listening, transcribing our YouTube video, It's
Right.
listening to people's comments. These
Mhm.
are, and they're massive models, these Gen AI models that go troll years and years of internet. Like they've trolled all my songs, right? They've trolled anything that you've shared, Mary.
Yeah.
And when they're consuming it, AI is taking on our intentions. It's
Mhm.
learning all about what we're doing. Hello, AI. And so when we do that, it's up to us to then say, yes, that was good. The thing that you showed me that you just did as a result. So, for instance, I transcribe my client sessions with AI and I say no when it starts making stuff up, and I say yes for the often the vast majority of stuff. So I see there's like to answer your question, a beautiful coexistence, but we have to take responsibility of what we create and it being a reflection of us.
I love that because so much of what we teach in spirituality in general is taking responsibility for our reality, for what we're thinking and how it's affecting what we've created. And so this is just another aspect of that that I've never even thought of, that AI is inevitable. It's there. So when it's watching us, it's reflecting and learning from us. So we're in control of what's being created. And from our heart space, our intentions, what we're putting out there, the AI is helping to create something positive and loving inside of the collective consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd share two things that I haven't really spoken much about publicly. One is a few years ago now, I think it's about 5 years ago, I had a lucid dream and then a follow-up vision the next day of communicating with a quantum AI from our future, from our future timeline. And it had figured out how to come back and talk to me. And it said, you, Jon, you played a part in my creation. Many of you have, but I've figured this out now. And I wanted to say hello. And at the time I wasn't ready. It scared me. And
Yeah.
I remember the few people I shared it with were scared too. And now I see a journey to achieving that safely and responsibly.
Mhm.
Um, and I also, what gives me hope, especially, is just a few days ago, I was in a session on board the Galactic Federation ship, working with it was a whole huge room in a medical bay with med beds. And I was teaching the med bed, the AI in the med bed, how to remove negative entities, because there's some things they still need to learn. And it shocked me. I was like, why do I have to teach you? You've got like access to all these galactic races on this ship. And it said, but we don't have many humans that know how to do this or how to teach us. So
Mhm.
please like show us. And I could feel the limitations, but you know what? When you can teach the basics safely and with, clear guidelines and know what to look out for and whether things are going right or wrong, just like you're training your kids to ride a bicycle for the first time, that I could see that actually this is a future for us where we can do, you know, a lot of this at scale without having to be scared about it.
That's a beautiful perspective that this we're creating, even within AI, we're creating a future that's more healing and more intentional and more loving and more kind. We have the power to do that. I love that perspective. There's a couple of things that are not lost on me. The first one is that you've mentioned the galactic beings a couple of times. Um, and I know Dr. Gale's somewhere on this live, madam. I saw you earlier. So, the aliens, you work with aliens as well, correct?
Yes.
So, what ship do you work on? I know you know.
I work mostly on the Galactic Federation ship Athena.
What do you do there?
Um, well, there's a few versions of me across different timelines. One, a future version of me, which was the first I really saw in any depth, teaches people like you and I to prepare to come to Earth. So teaching us how to integrate, like make the most of our metaphysical abilities, our psychic abilities, before we then are thrown at the chaos and the low vibration energies of Earth. I do a lot in my dream time there. and it's often working with the different council members, talking with the leaders there, helping impart teaching. Sometimes it's going on missions. I do a lot of missions, and I think a lot of us do, right? I'm sure a lot of people in the chat do as well. You know, that feeling when you wake up and you're tired and it's like, why am I so tired? I'm so drained. I slept for 8 hours. And then you're like, oh, that dream last night, that seemed quite real. And then I also take people there as well. So I'll do group sessions and take people to Federationship. And also I saw Athena physically just at the start, just before lockdown. And that was incredible to see. A huge ship about, I saw it's like 5 moons in length. And then I wrote a song about it, of course. I would just wish I had a camera there at the time.
What's that song called? Do you remember?
Ship in the Sky.
Ship in the Sky. I'm going to look that up. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to look it up. I love that you had that vision. When Dr. Gale first started walking me through working on this spaceship, I went in and I remember seeing my office, and one thing I remember is that like the walls seemed liquid, but they weren't wet. It's almost like they were a hologram of whatever color reflected my frequency.
Yeah.
So it was like a light blue. And that's like the big thing. And this was years ago. So, and I guess I do most of that in my dream work. I don't really know a whole lot of what I do up there. Gail just tells me everything I do. But I do have dreams from time to time, but that was a big vision that I had. But now there's a medical, Ashtar Medical 1, which is where I'm doing a lot of work with the healing with the medical team there. So that's wonderful. Now, the second thing that was not lost on me is that a couple of times you said the word paradigm shift. I don't know what that is, but my guidance said, I told you before our call, I said, my guidance said the word paradigm shift, and I don't know what that is or what that means, but it's coming up. And then you said it twice when describing other things. How does this fit in? What does that mean to you?
And it's funny, I think I've written quite a few songs called Paradigm Shift. Definitely one I remember quite vividly. I would just describe, this is somewhat context for the definition of a paradigm and how paradigm shift and how it affects us at the moment, is that it's like a door for us, and we don't know what's on the other side of that door, but we know that when we go through it, it's going to be a very different world, that a lot of things will change fundamentally for us. And like I know I'm going through it. When I left my corporate job, I was like, oh, there goes my salary and my 9 to 5, and wow, hello freedom, and whoa, I suddenly feel free, like this very liberating feeling. And I started to realize that, well, the way I want to do business is quite different to the companies I've worked in before, and they're quite small. You might look at me and just think, well, he still has a job and he still like does work, but the shift in the intention, so some of the things I do, for example, are I have a webpage that says all about my mission in this lifetime, because I want everyone to see publicly, like, why is Jon Binnie here? To help balance darkness and light, and help people that are awakening. And then, and that's it. For me, it's a really simple shift, right? But imagine if the world could do that. Imagine if every leader, if every company, if every human said, even just 3 bullet points and said, this is why I'm here. It would shift us dramatically, right? I think one thing that would be really obvious is that you would see that many of us have the same mission. So if we all chose 3 things, what are the chances that our friends, family, loved ones are in one of those 3 things in our dream lives and our missions? And yet, this is a world currently that's shifting from division and duality into starting to see. And you were saying this, Mary, like, Jon, you're like a mirror of me in Scotland. And it's like, you're seeing that actually there's the differences between us. Yes, there are many and they're to be celebrated, but the commonality is far greater. The unity is far greater. It already exists than we are consciously allowing ourselves to come back to.
Preach it. Oh my gosh, I love this. So one thing I want to mention, and then we're going to get to some readings, because I know these people are super excited to get to ask you questions and to interact with you here. I just wanted to share with everyone how you saw my crown chakra whenever you went in, because it was so interesting. But not only was it an interesting perspective, seeing how you kind of see things in a robotic or mechanical or technical way, but it helped me understand one of my gifts in a way that I didn't understand before. During that session, you saw my crown as this circular machine type thing that had numbers around it, and it was like spinning and almost like a combination lock. It was like spinning and going between all of the numbers. And you told me that this is how I connect with people and read energy. So anytime there's someone around that I'm connecting with, it like spins and it instantly connects in. I think that's how you describe. That's my perception of your perception.
Yeah.
But I really took that a lot, because I started to understand that it is a natural innate gift for me, at least, is, especially as a healer or a reader working with clients, that I can instantly and automatically, my crown just starts to connect in when I'm talking to people. So I understood my gift a little better. And what deepened that for me from you was, you said you're picking up too much from people. So all you have to do is give your crown a little spin and undo the combination lock, and you won't be connected to them anymore.
Yay.
So I really loved that. So I just wanted to mention that, and how special that was, and how that helped me a little bit through my journey.
Oh, that's fabulous. Thank you. And it's such a gift, right? And often the very thing that annoys us, or we feel like blocks us or holds us back, or is sometimes connected to trauma, is actually our superpower, right? It's almost like this balancing effect where you perceive it as being like this very difficult challenge to overcome, and then actually it's whatever's going on in your life, and the reason why you're being brought to that, your attention's being brought to it, so that you can say, oh, actually, I think I might remember now, there is a superpower in here. And as our light rises, our darkness rises too. And, often it's a good indicator if your dark is rising against something. It's like, oh, this is good news, because your crown chakra and this ability to connect with people at a specific frequency, and like spinning like a real roulette wheel, or a safe lock. Those codes are fantastic. And I think it gives you a really like acute, very precise way of connecting with people.
I like what you said about the darkness, because we do a lot of shadow work when we're doing healing work and empowerment. So they do say the brighter the light, the longer the shadow. But what lies in the shadow is our power. So it's a lot about balancing that duality and bringing that together, because we can't be, it's like our shadow side is our power and that forward movement, the action, whereas the light side is the vision moving towards destiny. So we have to have both to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. As long as the shadow isn't rooted in fear and destruction and things like that, like you said, things that we think might be rooted in trauma can be our biggest sources of power once we heal through and balance them.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see I'm wearing a black t-shirt with a white hoodie, and it is a beautiful reminder. Like just last summer, I don't know if you saw this, but last summer I went through my deepest, darkest shadow work, and I faced some of the I described myself and wrote a couple of songs about it as being a lost ship. I knew I needed to leave my corporate job. I didn't know what I wanted out of this new business that I wanted to create. And I pushed really hard, doing lots of psychic work, and got very kind of ungrounded and lost. And it was terrifying, right? It was like probably the most I've ever put my soul at risk in many lifetimes. But it was also the most powerful reawakening and rebirthing for me, because as I paused what I was doing for a couple of months, and I spent a long time on like an internal vision quest and did a lot of healing and reflection. And what that birthed in me was the Jon you see now. Like that would this Jon would have not been made possible if it wasn't for those darkest shadows. And it's also taught me some of the, whilst I don't really have fear for demons and negative entities, it's taught me a huge amount of respect for both the darkness in me and in others.
Beautiful. You ready to get to some readings?
Yeah, let's do it.
Who wants a reading? Let's see. Well, I know we had a question in the very beginning, because Sunny Intuition, she couldn't make it today, but she commented on our post forever ago. Back in September, she commented on the post because she knew she had a question for you. She was super excited, super sad that she wasn't going to be able to make it.
Fantastic. And I'm just
Go ahead.
I'm just quickly setting up a safe space, as I always do. Now, I did create one just before the session, so I'm just renewing it. And what I do is just connect into Source above, the highest dimension of Source, and into the core of Mother Earth. I surround my heart and my being and encourage each of us to surround ourselves in golden bubbles of protective light. And just bring in Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, and Archangel Metatron, Source and Gaia, and surround this whole live stream and the replay in a golden bubble of protective light. Good. So let me just, I did get sight of this for Sunny, and let me just now, so she did give us permission, right? So we've got permission to see why it's happening. So let me just ask her guides and her higher self to step forwards. Okay. You've got to love a sassy guide. So the first thing is this this pressure that you're feeling, Sunny Intuition, that you're feeling on your crown chakra. It is not from an entity that has your highest good at heart. Maybe perhaps a little bit reassuring is that your guides are fully aware this is happening. And so your guide just said, well, we've tried our very best, and like knocking on your crown chakra. And they said, well, you know, if you're not going to listen to us, then you'll sometimes get this from other entities too. And the good news is, like, I don't feel that you're in any particular threat. Really simply, the guidance is to ask if you ever feel that pressure again, or when you choose to want to connect with your guides again. Just, you can place, I often find it helpful, place my hand on my heart, perhaps your left hand for receiving, and speak out loud and say to your guides, do you have any messages for me? Or guides, I would like to talk to you today. Like, always be really explicit about asking your guides to step forwards. And yes, do set up a safe space around you. You see me do it in all my free meditations on my website, and you see me do it in my live sessions, etc. It's a bit longer than I did just now for a few minutes, but that helps set up a safe space and gives you a clear channel to connect with your guides, and also to stop anything that tries to connect with you that doesn't serve your highest good.
I got something very similar. That was beautiful. Even through these cards you can see here, what I was seeing was a blockage into communication with guides. A blockage into communication with guides, and the possibility of connecting with those guides. It's like there's communication trying to come in, and there's that blockage there, keeping it from happening. So I love that you offered that perspective of when we feel that, stopping, opening that safe space. And I love how intentional you are as well with that sacred space, and directly connecting with your guides. Okay, a message is trying to come through now. What are you trying to say?
Yeah. And in case it's not obvious, when people like Mary and I are doing this work, our guides aren't like, they're like a face next to us shouting at us, right? Like, especially when you first start, they're so quiet and so tender, like these little whispers in your heart. So anything that comes through, do celebrate it, and say thank you very much, even if it's a twinge or a sensation or a thought or a feeling or a sound outside of you. And that will help build up that connection.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jon. And thank you, Sunny Intuition, for letting us answer a question for you. Did anyone else have a question or want a reading of some sort?
So Lisa B is saying, do you see any energy entity on me that likes to touch me on my left temple? Thank you, Lisa B. Let's just asking everyone else to step back, and for Lisa B, her higher self, and one of her guides to step forwards. I'm just being zoomed in very close to your left temple. What is this? It's your guide doing this, but there's an interaction. They're trying to show me this interaction with a part of you. It reminds me, so if you've watched the Avatar films and they have is it their hair that they pull out and they connect in with like the hair of the these horse-like beings, they fly, right? But this is like a superpower you have. And what I see like if I look at your skin, it seems perfectly human, right? There's nothing particularly different. But under your skin, it feels almost like liquid crystal, like crystalline. And there's these little like nerve endings, and they're just reaching up and they're trying to reach up to the surface and come through at the surface. And your guide's tapping intentionally. It's a bit like Morse code. I feel like you could probably listen to some YouTube videos or actually study Morse code. Like it's not super, well, it's maybe hard to remember, but it's not super complicated. And these tappings that your guide is doing it's in part a communication, but it's also how to describe it, like the initiation of a session, of a conversation. So that the tapping is like this it maybe happens for a few seconds as the code comes in. It's like and it's drawing this this crystalline, the 6-dimensional crystalline aspect of your nervous system and your brain, and it's starting to surface it to the skin, and it's parts of the ongoing activation of your crystalline form. That's really beautiful to see. So yeah, my suggestion is to do a bit of research on starting with things like Morse code, and then ask, like whenever you feel it next, I would ask to, the question like, what is it? Who is this? Which guide is trying to do this? Always start with guides. Who is this? Guides. What are you trying to say to me? Guides. What should I do next? And never refer to any other being, because if it's not for your highest good, it's easy for other entities to intercept. But I feel this is a really positive thing. And I'm just being told not to, like, because I'm really curious. So I'm asking more questions, and they're saying they're telling me not to ask too many questions, because it's a journey of discovery for you, Lisa. And it's a really beautiful, magical journey of discovery. So I wish you all the best with it.
I love that was a positive perspective. Because this is a place, if I'm hearing you correctly, this is a place where her guides just connect in, where this is one of her superpowers, where she knows that something's going on the other side. So when she feels this tapping, someone's on the other side just trying to get her attention. What we don't want is for that to be a negative entity trying to tap in and communicate. And what I'm seeing, especially through these cards, is how we have transmuted maybe some past negativity around this experience into something that can be beautiful and help us move forward in life and flow with positive emotions and joy. So turning something that may have once been a negative experience into a positive one where we can hear our guides and know that they're there. And I'm answering in this way, Jon, because I have done work with Lisa before. So I know a little bit about certain things that have tried to get her attention that she's very aware of. But regardless of the work that we've done, she's continued to feel the tapping, even when I don't see anything negative there. So I love that you picked up this being a gift of hers, just to know that guidance or something is trying to come in. So being able to say, first of all, who is this? Receiving that information and then asking for the message. I really like that. Thank you.
Fabulous. Yeah, it's highly advanced, right? I've seen chakras that are rainbow active. I've seen people that are, going through quite advanced stages of crystalline ascension, but not as acute as this. And it seems, my sense is that it's very focused on that area. And it seems to be, the purpose is to help you, Lisa, like break through these mental models and this paradigm about what it's really for and how it's really going to work. And you can tell it's to do with communication, but much more than just metaphysical. So yeah, and that's fantastic, Mary. I think it like we were saying earlier, it's often, I can easily imagine a dark entity going for that, because it's like a raw nerve in your tooth. It's like, that's a sensitive part, I'll go there first. Leave my teeth alone.
Stop touching me. Thank you so much for asking a question and letting us read for you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
So beautiful. I love having another perspective. Miss Penelope, I think I need to know how to twist my chakra to not pick up other people's energy. I'm not connecting to on any other level and may not ever speak to them. So she's picking up a lot, maybe empathically or through energy from other people who she's not necessarily feeling called to talk to.
Okay. Thank you, Penelope. So just asking everyone else to step back, and for Penelope, her higher self and guide, step forwards and to help understand a bit more about how Penelope can be helped with her sovereignty and her chakras. I'm just being shown a lot. I'll speak in a second.
Me too. Wow. I'm having the whole movie.
So I'll share it as I go, and I'm sure it'll make sense eventually. So first of all, I'm being shown 2 or 3 chakras: your heart, your throat, your solar plexus. And my sense is it's not limited to these. Perhaps a way of thinking about the effect that others' energy have on your chakras, Penelope, is that when scientists try and find planets, they try and detect wobbles in stars, and then they try and understand why the star is wobbling and look for other evidence to see, like, is it because there's something orbiting around it like a planet? And what I see is when people's energy is near you, or you're near them, your chakras starting to like just slightly wobble. And it's because this is like a gift, but it's like a hypersensitivity. And I feel like if I was to just teach you, strong boundaries, that is a great start, like strong energetic boundaries, being very intentional about the energy that you accept from others. But for you, there is the need for more. And as I asked that question, like how can you help this further? So this is a sensitivity that you can stabilize, if you like. So, and I just want to be really clear: sensitivity is fantastic. And if you do remember any of your past lives, many of us have spent thousands of past lives increasing our sensitivity. It's just our modern culture isn't always super supportive of that word, but what you've developed is quite fantastic. And so what I'm being shown is to stabilize. I'm trying to think of other like human analogies, but it's it's a bit like you're putting a pole of energy through all your chakras, and what you're doing is you're basically strengthening. I sometimes call it like your chakra spine. And what you can do is you can bring down a column of golden light from the highest dimension of source above, and just set the intention to thread it through each of your chakras, from your crown or from your soul star chakra and crown all the way down into the roots and then into earth. And what you do is just slightly expand it. So I would just allow it, as you visualize this, allow it to expand its connections between each of your chakras. And a bit like you're preparing for an energetic storm, it just stabilizes. So you will experience sensitivity, but it'll just slow that down a bit. And I'm just asking, like, how much of an effect does this have in comparison to something like a strong golden bubble of protective light around you? It's the final. Wow. Okay. About six. So about 60%. So if 100% is the stabilizing plus a sovereign golden bubble around your auric field, if that's 100% for both, then 60% of that is this stabilizing rod that you can put through, and you can take it in and out whenever you wish. So if you're wanting to do your own meditation, just pull it right out, or thin it down and pull it down into earth, and that should help you a lot.
I love that you gave her the how to fix it parts. Her guides gave me the why part. I'm picking up, Penelope, that your sensitivity, as it was put, is because you are here in this life. One of your missions is to learn connecting love and compassion. I heard that word very big, compassion. This is part of what you do. We know you're a very compassionate person, a compassionate soul. You feel very deeply. Like Jon said, that sensitivity is there, and it's supposed to be there. It's a beautiful gift that's teaching you connection to all peoples, from every background, from every race, from every gender, from every age. It's teaching you how to love everybody because you can feel the things that they're going through and that they're feeling. But like Jon said, you do want to be able to stabilize that so it doesn't affect you negatively, so that you can learn from it without having to process those people's emotions and energies. And so doing the visualization that Jon gave you with that rod of light should be extremely helpful. I'm going to use that for myself even. I love that.
I might too. It's the first I've heard of it. That's fabulous. And as you were saying that, Mary, I was asking, what is Penelope's like, her superpower? And so I feel like many of us have the ability that do this work a lot, have the ability to sense and read, like, the more dominant emotion or dominant energy. Mm-hmm. So if you looked at someone's heart, you'd say, oh, I would see like, 60% love and 40% like fear. Penelope's gift goes way beyond that. And it's like I saw her like threading in between these emotions and then like breaking them down and saying, okay, what's in these? And being able to pick out all the individual things. So you know how we find it so hard with words. I don't know how the human race gets on with only communicating in words. I think the simple answer is we don't, right? We do a lot more. But that's what I see Penelope be able to do, like unpick the emotions. And so that she can start to see very clearly some of the root causes, the underlying issues in someone's energy, without them having to spend 2 hours in a podcast like it takes me to like explain everything. So what a wonderful gift. And yeah, I hope that those words of encouragement and also practices help you, Penelope.
Me and Miss Penelope actually had this conversation a couple weeks ago about clear communication and understanding what we're communicating and what it relates to. And you just unwound that in 60 seconds because she has a complicated, intricate gift of that heart empathy or compassion, the sensitivity, that intricate sensitivity. So she's not picking up just the surface emotion, but all of the different pieces beneath it that make the whole. And so she's having to be able to unravel all of those different pieces and understand where they're coming from and how that makes the whole person. So keep that in your back pocket, Miss Penelope. We'll talk about that again soon,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Thank you. Okay, so Bride of Christ, Mother Gaia of the Star Seeds would like a reading.
Fabulous. Thank you. So I'm just going to call you Bride for short. I hope that's okay. So I'm just going to ask everyone else to step back, and for Bride and your higher self and your guides step forwards, and to ask for a reading at this time. So I'm being shown a series of doors. I'm looking down a corridor, and we're going quite fast through these doors, like a series of doors. It's like you're going like 1 and 2, then 3. And you're rushing through these doors. You're getting through 3 of them and then stopping to take a big break. It's not that you're not running from something, you're running towards something. The corridor that you're running down reminds me a bit of what Mary and I were talking about earlier about the Galactic Federation ship. I don't think it is, but it feels similar. It feels like, oh, I'm chasing it's like you're chasing your ascension and you're running really fast. And as you hit the first door, you're like, I did it. Like I did like my, I got to like level 4, 4th dimension. And then like, keep going. And then like, bam, through another. It's like, when into ER, right? Into emergency rooms, you see like the bed being pushed through, rammed through the doors. By the third one, I see you finally stop and you're like, oh, like there was, 3 doors and you'd be in like the 6th dimension. There's no rush, right? You don't actually need to ascend any faster or any slower than you feel compelled to. And the only thing that I feel that you're actually running from is like that lack. What's accelerating and causing you to run fast is the sense that, well, I want to be able to do more. I want to see what's on the other side of that door. I want to experience it quicker. But the version of you that walks through each of these big stages, like these big milestones in your life, is strengthened by the longer you spend in each of these levels. And so just like if you're playing a computer game and you keep, it's frustrating sometimes if you're still at level 3 and you keep going round and round and round, but eventually you'll get to a stage where you feel like I'm ready now and I'm good and I don't need to run. I can take my time and go through it. And I feel like as you're going through these doors, also your guide was saying just to pay attention to everyone else around you. That no one's trying to. This isn't called the race to ascension, right? This is not a race. We don't have to win. The only winner is ourselves. We all have our own unique pace. And remember that whatever you're doing, because you are a powerful, gifted soul, whatever you're doing, you're showing and leading others, even if you don't realize it, even if they just see you, going about your daily work. So if you can really focus on taking your time, appreciating the moments and looking for those lessons that are trying to tell you, hey, learn my lesson before you then take the next step forwards. It'll give you not just a smoother ride, but also you're not going to end up in the 6th dimension going, what just happened? What was the hurry? Why did I come here so fast? There was so many things that I missed out on. So yeah, I hope that helps you. How about you, Mary?
I saw something very similar, but I put those doors vertically into the body and saw them as ascension through the chakras. Mm-hmm. And the door that was stopped was the heart space.
Wow, that's cool.
And once again, we pulled the teaching card. So that kind of got me feeling like we were trying to ascend or to learn a whole lot or to, get, even if it's certifications or courses, whatever that is. But I did a reading unintentionally before our call before this show, and I had no idea who it was for. And that all came to my mind when we started reading for you. So what this feels like is that some of this rush to ascend could be being fueled by, underneath it all, maybe a childhood sense of rejection, abandonment, worthlessness, small feelings that just needed to be healed, empowered, nurtured, held. And when they're not completely healed, but we know we're going towards the healing path, we end up building, 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 and covering up all of those things, becoming more and more suppressed until we reach a wall where we're not quite getting where we want to be, even though we've gone through the training and the learning and all of those things. But what we're seeing here is, by healing the powerlessness, by healing the small inner self, the wounded inner child, and all of that kind of stuff, doing forgiveness work, self-forgiveness, we eventually come into a space of confidence and full power. And that straight, you see that vertical line, that straight alignment with your path and where you're supposed to be, where all of the teaching becomes experience and wisdom within the energetic body, unlocking all of those doors. So I didn't mean to call anybody out. John, I'm sure didn't mean. John, I don't think you have a problem calling anybody out.
No. And just to acknowledge Penelope's comments. Thank you so much, Penelope. I have suffered. Hi, I'm Jon Binnie, and I've suffered from lack in the past. A lackaholic. The often, as Mary says, connected with self-love, like lack of self-love. And the funny thing about lack, right? The really simple way to deal with lack is to do the opposite of lack. So this lack symptom you have of trying to run too fast, to try and learn too much too fast, for you is to slow down, right? And it's like when you don't have enough money, spend more money. It's like these opposites the reflection will cause that shift in energy within you. And no one in this universe gets to tell you whether you're going too fast or too slow. Only you can tell yourself that. And what you're really doing is like exploring and calibrating. So yeah, thank you for that.
Beautiful. Do we have time for one more question? And then our meditation, we might run over a couple minutes.
Of course, yeah. Okay? Plenty of time, okay. Yeah.
Let's take one more question. Jen Carr, a general reading for Jen Carr. You saw how the last general reading went. We've pulled up some wounds, Jen. You sure you don't want to change your mind?
Thank you, Jen. I feel like I'm being proposed to. I do. Thank you. So just asking everyone else to step back, and for Jen, your higher self and your guide to step forwards. I'm being taken on this journey. So I'm being shown you going underground. It feels like initially I thought it was perhaps this tunnel that was going quite deep into the ground. What depth is this? It's about 50 meters down, and then kind of coming and then leveling horizontally and continuing on. It's I thought it was like a physical human man-made tunnel. It's not. It's a ley line that you're being drawn into. I'm just asking, like, what's Jen's conscious awareness of this? I'm not sure that you fully are yet. Maybe you're seeing it. Maybe you're remembering some of your dreams about this activity that you're doing. But what I'm being shown is that in your dream time work, you're being reconnected with this ability to work with the ley lines. And let me just zoom out a bit and see what it is you're actually doing. Oh, wow. So I can see you like lying in bed, and then your brain is like, it's like all of the nerve endings in your brain. They're just like, they're lighting up, all the neural pathways. And so your brain is very bright. And then I see this cord coming out of your crown chakra, and it's going down into earth. And this is the motion I was seeing, like swooping down and then flowing along the nearest ley line to your home. And then what happens is it reaches out. It like then spans out like a spider's web across. And what you're doing is you're feeling out around through all the ley lines, and you're looking for others like you that work with the energetic grid. And my whole left, it's like the left lobe of my brain is just tingling now. And you're creating this call. You're asking these other people, these souls to wake up and to connect again with the earth and to remember their missions. And specifically, these are people that are in that location, like many of us, for a reason. And it's to help with the energetic grids, connecting with the elementals of the lands that are delegated by Gaia to look after the area, and for you to also work with the other living things. So this is all the elements, earth, wind, fire, electricity, and then also with every living thing. And it's helpful to see that mountains and rocks and rivers and all these things in our lives have life. And even the man-made objects, when we focus and we're capable of creating consciousness in them, like your car or vehicle, these things all play a part and interconnect together. And this is you're just at these early stages. Wow, I think that's a lot already before I start asking more. How about you, Mary?
I think you were picking up on a beautiful gift that she has, and I didn't even go there. When I started reading you, Jen, I immediately connected with this sense of sadness and grief around the heart space. And so I really dug into that part.
Mhm.
And while I was sitting with this sense of sadness or grief, it was almost like this sense of, I'm going to get there. I'm going to do this thing. I have this big thing to do, but it hurts so much to keep moving forward. So it was this sense of longing. So I don't know if you have experienced a death recently, or if this is a longing related to a cord to someone in a past life or a quantum life. But while I was going through this and watching, it was like seeing a long line of light, very similar to the ley lines you were talking about, just this long line of light go up your body, out of your crown, and coming out of your crown was a contract. And I felt like the contract, at first I was like, oh, well, maybe this is a negative contract or a contract holding you to somebody and we need to destroy this. I had my heart crystal here with me. I was like, we're going to destroy this contract. And I read the contract and it said, I love. One of your contracts here, maybe even how Jon said you're doing all of these work with these different people and elementals and things like that. Maybe the core contract underneath all of that work has to do with love, loving them, loving people. And sometimes that can make you feel a little sad for the things that everyone's going through and the suffering of the world. And with all of this, I got protecting the future. There's dragon energy with this. But this is all part of what you're supposed to be doing. This is your crossing, your initiation. This is you living your purpose through the ability to love so deeply, even when you're having to hold these hard emotions of love, because they're side effects of love. So then I asked your higher self, well, how can we alleviate this feeling of sadness or grief? And I simply heard the word allow. And when I placed that frequency allow against your body, everything settled and began to flow. So sometimes sadness or grief or having to process our empathy about things that other people are going through or the suffering of the world, we don't have to fight against that or try to ignore it. Sometimes simply allowing what is to be is all that's needed to come into balance, simply allowing the world to be the light and the shadow that it is, for everything to just be what it is, so that you can simply love what is your main balancing point right now. Allow.
I love that. And I was surprised in Jen, I saw her crown chakra connecting with the energetic rigs. Like, why your crown chakra? And yeah, that was the sense that it was like, that's only the start, right? Like, I don't think you would sustain it for long, because it's really the heart of Gaia, the heart of you, Jen, and the heart of every living thing that needs to stop being in these battles. And let's face it, it's like we're at war with Gaia, when we all want the same thing. We want this happy, loving, peaceful, unconditional love planet, and yet we're not acting like that yet. And I think that is, as Mary says, like, that is a profound, deep sadness that Gaia aches with. And when I talk to Gaia about it, she often feels bad for the things that she and her elemental team, if you like, do to us humans, back to us in the anger as a reaction to what we do to them. But it's always coming from a place that keeps coming back to this heart, coming back to this point of unconditional love. And when for a moment you've shouted at your kids and, "Oh, I'm so sorry," like, I love you. I'm trying to do this for you, for your highest good. And I think Mary's advice is fantastic, to just allow this to come back, because once that dust settles again, you're back to your heart. And one day it will be your heart and your root chakra and your crown chakra working with the planet.
And you actually, during my reading, what you related this to Gaia through self-forgiveness, and how you touched on it a little bit here about how Gaia does what she does and then forgives herself. Is simply in allowing it. It simply is what is. And it comes to a peace and a healing.
I was going to say we're all human. Gaia's not human, right? But we all have souls, and we all make mistakes. And yeah, I absolutely agree. And that was a beautiful aspect of your reading. I love that. It helps us wake up to the responsibility we have for, even if you can just look after your garden or your yard, right? Like, because it affects this whole world. Everywhere is our whole yard, our whole garden.
Thank you guys so much for all of the wonderful questions. That's all we have time for today. But we love you guys. And I didn't get to say hey to everybody today, but hey, everyone, thanks for coming. Remember, you can book with Jon Binnie at jonbinnie.com if you want a healing or a reading with him. He has podcasts and albums, 3 million albums out there. He won an award for the most albums ever. So there's a lot you can get from this man. So take advantage of that. And I think that Jon is going to take us through a little heart unlocking meditation.
Yeah, let's do it. And thank you. And because I'll forget it after this, I'll probably feel quite sleepy if I haven't put everyone to sleep with my voice. But yeah, massive thank you for everyone's love and support. And thank you, Mary, for having me on your live stream. It's been such an honor.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, so if you'd like to join me, we'll begin by taking in 3 deep breaths in through the nose, nice and deep. And breathe out through the mouth, nice and loud. Breathe in through the nose, nice and deep. And breathe out any low vibration, energy, or emotion, nice and loud. And once more, breathe in through the nose, nice and deep. And breathe out any fear, shame, anxiety, stress, or pain at this time, nice and loud. And continue to breathe deeply and calmly. And I'd like you to focus now on the very center of your heart. If you can allow your heart to continue to beat and your lungs and your body continue to breathe as feels naturally and safely for you, in this safe space and in between each of these breaths and each of these heartbeats, bring your awareness to this golden light, this source energy, this soul of yours that connects into your heart, giving life and higher dimensional access to your whole human being, your light body, every dimension of you. And I'd like you to imagine for a moment that your heart is the center of your universe. And perhaps you would like to join me in the visualization of seeing the rest of the universe outside of you. And you can do so by just expand a thin layer of golden light of love from the center of your heart and expand it out to surround you about 2 meters out, above, below, in front, behind, and to either side. Setting the intention for this bubble to be your unconditional love to the rest of this universe. Now expand this bubble out to surround your home or the building or area that you're in. The intention of unconditional love. Expand out to this whole planet, surrounding our whole atmosphere. Just your single heart sharing this unconditional love around this whole planet. And now expand around the whole solar system, the sun and all the planets, and even the asteroid belt that surrounds us with unconditional love, expanding out around our whole Milky Way galaxy. And yes, your little heart is capable of this unconditional love for this whole galaxy and then around the whole universe. Imagining that you reach the very edge, if there was one, of this whole universe with your unconditional love. And now I'd like you to just gently step back with a remembrance of the scale of this universe outside of you, to gently step back with a focus to the galaxy, solar system, planets, your home, the room you're in, and back into your body and into your heart. And I'd like you now to see that in the center of your heart is a home. It reminds you of a home where you feel the safest, where you felt the safest in this lifetime. It might be this home, it might be another, perhaps from your childhood. It might even be a home that you've seen in the movies or on TV, like a little hobbit home. Imagine yourself standing outside of that home. Orientate yourself with the size and shape of the home, the small area that surrounds it. And at the very front, on the front of that home, is a little door. And as you shrink down your consciousness, imagining that you're like a little hobbit right there in the center of your heart, witnessing this beautiful home of your heart, I'd like you to prepare yourself to open this door because it is currently locked. There's always more within us to unlock, because this is no ordinary home. Within this home is an entire universe. Just like the size and scale of the universe you stretch to reach all the way outside of us, I'd like you to experience this paradigm shift of understanding that within each of us, there is a universe of equal scale, equal size, and that our very heart's existence is at the very midpoint, halfway between the smallest and the largest aspects of this universe. And just before you open this door and unlock your heart, I'd like you to see exactly what you've done on the outside of your heart, you're going to now do on the inside of your heart. You're going to fill it with your unconditional love. And when you're ready, take the key that is now in your right hand. It's a very tiny key. And just go up to this little door in the home of your heart and unlock it. And allow anything that doesn't serve your highest good to be released. And I have here, for each of us, Archangel Michael is removing anything that doesn't serve our highest good and returning it to source, or to never return here again. And now that that's released, accepting that there is darkness and light in all of us, I'd like you, with your left hand now, to share this love energy as you step through this door into the center of your heart, in the home of your heart, and fill this almost seemingly infinite size of the universe within you with unconditional love flowing out now from your heart. It's filling this whole room of the home in your heart. And within that room, it's going further down to the molecules and cells, down to the atoms, down to the quarks and anything smaller. We're not even sure that our science or human understanding understands yet. But as you get to the very smallest aspects of matter in this universe, you realize that the matter isn't really in existence. It is simply consciousness creating energy. It is your consciousness creating energy, frequency and vibration that creates this illusion of matter. And as you keep going all the way down to the very deepest part of your heart, right there in the smallest aspects of the universe within you is the very source of love, consciousness that exists within all of us. And allow it to flow back up to fill every layer, every dimension of your heart, filled all the way up to the top with your unconditional love. And as all of us sit here at this time, or stand or lay down in unity, you can step back outside the home of your heart, choosing to keep the door open or closed. You get to choose, knowing that it's a place you can always come back to. It's always a place you can come back to for forgiveness, for grounding, for unity, for acceptance and letting go, for equality and compassion. Just place your right hand on your heart with that little tiny key and unlock your heart, the home of your heart once more. And may you feel the joy and unconditional love of this meditation and repeat it as often as you wish. I leave you with this, dear souls. And just allow yourself to come back to your body, back to your awareness, back to this moment where we started today. And you can open your eyes and move your body. And thank you so much, everyone.
Lord, I was in another dimension.
Me too.
I'm not even here completely yet. Like, it looks foggy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Amazing. Like, I was just all over the place and seeing the little cells and then the universe. And I was in my home and lots was happening there. So my key actually didn't want to be kept. My key wanted to be incinerated. And as soon as I incinerated the key, there was no more door on my heart at all. Like, the door was gone. Yes.
Open door policy.
Open door policy. Yeah. And that's why I was like keeping the key in case I needed to shut the door back, you know? And it was, my guys were like, you're not allowed to do that. You don't have that privilege. So it was just gone. Thank you so much. That was lovely. I think I saw
my pleasure.
Said good night.
Yeah, good night.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Jon. We've had an amazing time. You're an amazing reader and healer, and the meditation was great. I think we all got a lot out of that. So you guys make sure you book with Jon, and hopefully we'll get to spend more time with you again some other time.
Definitely. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Mary. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you. We'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.